Hello
Oh yeah.
and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio, the brief Indiepocalypse Radio, an oasis of me going to a lot of events in this coming weeks or this past week and that kind of thing. Indiepocalypse Radio, of course, is your premier Indiepocalypse related chat show, interview, talk show sort of thing, halfway between a post-con hangout and an interview show. I'm Andrew, the host of Indiepocalypse Radio and the everything else in regards to Indiepocalypse. I need to update my album art while I'm talking. It was a thing I meant to do during the pre-show because I moved all my folders around, but I didn't get a chance to do that. Anyhow, we are here with a trio of guests from the world of independent games and the people who make them. There we go. Let me see which one my last one is, so that I can properly correct this. Okay. All right, 57. Gotcha. Okay, we are here. So with our first guest, who you may know in the context of Indiepocalypse from issue 62, the previously newest issue, no longer. Zick with the game Young Sin Flesh Dynamics. Zick, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing pretty fine. It's like around 8 a.m. in the South Korea here, so I woke up with my coffee in my hand. It's good.
Perfect. Yes. Now I meant to mention during the pre-show when everyone was there, but I'll say I organized one show once, one like panel, and it wasn't actually a panel. It was a
Segment.
It was like it was like a recording for a panel, not like it wasn't live, and it was like both coasts of the U.S., Europe, and Japan, and I had to there's 1 hour where all those time zones work, and some people are in the early morning, some people are in the late night, and then for some people it's like perfect middle of the day. But yes, of course, this is our 7 p.m. for me, late night, early morning, Eastern Hemisphere, Western Hemisphere. I forget which hemisphere it is, but our Eastern show. So it's morning for you. So good morning.
Good morning. I mean, good day in I don't know.
Yes,
the rest of the world.
Good day. I think covers all of it. A day encapsulates morning and night. But to get into things, I can't ask my traditional sort of question, but I have a loose variant on my traditional intro question, which is, so given that you are a commission developer, did you know what Indiepocalypse was when I emailed you, or is this just a cold emailed from a weird stranger? Or
I really had a very, very vague knowledge about the Indiepocalypse before.
Okay.
But other than the name itself, I didn't really knew what the Indiepocalypse was, so yeah. To be honest, it was pretty scary, but also pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's a thing I always wonder in terms of it's mostly my informal marketing. Like, hey, how do people know what this thing is, and how can I continue to help people find it? Mostly developers. Like, I guess if players find it and buy it, I guess that's a nice thing. But I'm like, I just want developers to know what it is so I can pay them to be in it. And speaking of being paid to be in it, if people are unfamiliar with Young Sin Flesh Dynamics, how would you describe it?
Well, I'm really not that great at describing my own games. So.
No, that's fine.
But I will try my best.
Yes.
Basically, it's a arcade pseudo twin stick shooter type of game where you explore a very illegal house where you get randomized items and weapons and kill some bad guys in the process, and just try your best to make it down to the deepest floors.
Yes.
I mean, not exactly the deepest because you're actually going upstairs instead of downstairs, but yeah.
Yeah. But and this is, I'm going to ask a question. We have a question here from a guest for everybody slowly, but I'm going to ask it up first because it was something I want to talk about with you anyway in particular. And this is from Adam Phoebe. What was your biggest inspiration in making this game?
Oh yeah, it, it's kind of weird because normally I would, take a inspiration from the media side that I have actually consumed. Like
Right.
actually I played this game and watched this movie and stuff like that. But for this one, it's more like, oh man, I only have vaguely heard about this game, and people say it's pretty good. So I did my best to try to capture that vibes, but also adding my own twist to it.
Yeah.
And that media in question was this game called what do you call it? Oh, there we go. Biohazard, the Resident Evil in PlayStation 1.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a I read like your post mortem, um,
Yeah.
and because part of it, and a part that struck me a lot, because this was a thing I did as well, um, not with English, but part of it comes from um, playing games in English while not knowing English, you know,
Mm. Yeah.
and and trying to parse a mysterious language and kind of figure out what that means in the context of a game.
Yeah, because most of the screenshots from the game I have seen was mostly in Japanese, which I didn't really know.
Okay. Yeah.
So that kind of works together, I guess, with my prior experience of playing games that were mostly like foreign that I couldn't really understand.
Yes. Yeah. I had a similar experience. I will say, um, downloading games that I found on the internet, um,
Yeah.
in in other languages, and trying to sort of like not actually learn the language, but you learn like a composite, like you learn a version of it that you understand.
Yeah.
Like you slowly learn like, oh, this, I don't know what this simple, I don't understand what this word like in Japanese, but I know that it means move character or whatever.
Basically, yeah.
Uh,
And there was also the very out of context use of the English here because
yeah.
I don't know if you have heard played the original NES version of the Legend of Zelda, which is in the Japanese version.
Yes.
In that game, whenever you you know t- whenever you are trying to delete a save data in this game, the game says something like kill mode or something like that.
Right.
Just pretty messing out of context, and I kind of wanted to have that effect.
Yeah. Right. Right. It's yeah. Especially when when they're like borrowing, like awkwardly borrowing words that like very literally translated words that don't mean the same thing that you're
Yeah.
intending. Yeah, there it's an interesting, like, especially given like sort of like how global games are now and how accessible things like fan translations are, or you know you can just hold your phone up to a screen and it can translate
Mm.
for you. So it creates like a different like dynamic of not having that same sort of giant barrier in the same way.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, so you have like a large number of games. What got you into game development to begin with?
Well, at first I was basically like my main inspiration for joining game dev was this thing called demo scenes cultures.
Yes.
Basically a thing where programmers trying to flex their programming muscles by implementing really cool visuals and sounds like that.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool when I was watching this demo called like Second Reality by Future Crew, I think, and it was fascinating. I kind of wanted to make say similar graphics in games.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like uh, uh, the graphic element can sometimes be, you know, a whole giant complicates out of programming that can be overlooked.
Yeah.
as being seen as like an art thing that just kind of gets plopped into a game, um,
Mm.
rather than being a very complicated like programming challenge.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun thing to work on.
Yeah, and then there's all sorts, there's all different places you can like place it and put these games, and there's all sorts of different like uh, things you can like. I'm looking at that. That you have. One of your games was in an early one of the early haunted PS1 Madvent calendars.
Oh yeah.
And that is so. Then you can have like your thing that is like in some way a part like shares some of an aesthetic, but all those games also have like very different, strong aesthetics. It's
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, it's a kind of odd, weird thing of united by a very strong personal style.
Yeah, I don't know
Maybe
if it's like close enough, but I suppose it's like, I don't know, being in the same nation, but also having a very unique, what do you call it, the accent.
yes, yes, exactly, right, right, right. They're different. They're different accents on like the PS1 style, because
Oh.
I imagine I imagine if you go on like Unity or Unreal, I'm sure people have made like multiple things just called PS1 shader that people just plop on top. People just throw on top of like a thing. And you're like, this doesn't quite look right, but also it's like very much a singular aesthetic when you know the PlayStation 1 had like a wide variety of different styles and
Yeah.
approaches to doing art. So were you primarily working a more like 2D style generally, uh, or 2D and 3D spaces?
Yeah, basically. Like I was inspired by this game called like Super Paper Mario, I think. The one
Yes.
with the flat Super Mario guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yes. No. Which is right. Exactly. It's 2D and a lot of like collapsible 3D, like sort of 3D spaces, but you see all the seams of it.
Yeah, basically it's a glorified like vector image for most of my game's graphics.
Yes. Yes. You definitely see all the seams of everything and has like a very constructed feel to it. A
Mm.
very which lends itself to like a very like distinct style on its own. Because you have, even if you're using that same like 2D 3D aesthetic from like Paper Mario, you have a very different personal drawing style than Nintendo's style.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a situation where you're borrowing more a presentation mode more than borrowing an aesthetic.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what how to put it here, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think you got the words pretty right.
yeah. Thank you. But it is very, very cool and distinct. And I would not think off the top of my head like, oh yeah, Paper Mario. But then when you mention it, I go, oh yes, actually, I hear what you're saying now. Down to like the way it's sort of like the stuff sort of like flips around, uh,
Yeah.
and the very like paper craftiness of it. Um,
Yeah, the style has mostly come out of my limited skills in 3D modeling because how the hell people do make those 3D models without exploding?
yeah, yeah. I I do not know. Like I've thought about it on occasion, but I was like, I do not know how to do 3D models, and like I'm not good at 2D art anyway, and 3D
Mm,
art seems to be a whole other like
it's really scary.
yeah, like a thing I just don't understand. Um,
Yeah.
like even if drawings aren't good, I like conceptually understand what a drawing is, and how one goes to make one.
Yeah.
Uh, but just like within my head, the concept of 2D doesn't exist quite or 3D doesn't quite exist the same way.
Mm.
Uh, so out of curiosity, is there in playing games, is there like a particular style you're drawn to, like a go-to like genre or type of game?
Oh, genre. Personally, I used to be really attracted to genre like platformer, the
Yeah,
one with the really hard levels and stuff like that.
right, right.
And I don't know, I used to like enjoy playing games like N. You do know the game called N plus plus and N plus?
Yes, yes.
It's a pretty fun and cool game, but also I find it really hard to play nowadays because I can't really keep track of moving things anymore.
Oh yeah, and those moving things that are like super tiny as well in
Yeah,
in that particular game. Like it's a giant space with a tiny little guy running
tiny
through it.
ninjas and tiny little goals all over the place.
Yeah, right, right. That is like you need to focus huge. You need like intense focus on a screen and like
Yeah,
the right size screen. I think. Like I feel like
yeah.
it needs to be so big or so small and you're close to it
Mm.
in order to kind of kind of fully get a grasp of that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like very dense.
Yes,
If
yes,
you know
very.
what I mean, yeah.
That is very much like a certain era of that kind of. I wouldn't say like that design because I think it still exists, but when that kind of thing was popular, right around. Uh,
Mm.
yeah. Meat Boy is a perfect time is like a perfect I don't know maybe like cap to all of that because also Meat Boy had like all those characters inside of Meat Boy as special characters,
Yeah,
all your different fly wrenches and whatnot.
and I thought it was pretty cool. Like the Meat Boy game was having a lot of indie game guests or cameos, I guess.
Yeah, and it's weird because that feels like kind of just a thing that happens in like indie games all the time now.
Yeah,
Of just
but
like
back in time, they were pretty rare, I guess.
yeah, like how like there's always going to be you know that's it's almost like a marketing thing at this point.
Mm. Yeah, something like I don't know. I forgot the name of the game in English, but oh, there we go. Fortnite and their collaborations.
Yes, right, right. Yes, now it's just Fortnite does it, and
Yeah,
eventually we'll all be inside of Fortnite in one way or the other, trapped
yeah,
inside of it.
yeah. We are all going to have a tiny little collaboration for the Fortnite and send our mind into the other computer for the Fortnite server or something
Yes,
like that.
right, right. Well, once Fortnite makes Fortnite Earth and they just 3D scan the Earth, we won't have a choice but to be inside of it.
Oh man.
Well, I, as someone I've never played, probably never will, but I get like glimpses of awareness of it every now and then, where it's just like, sometimes I'm convinced it's fake, but it's always never fake. Um,
Yeah. I
of
think I'm in the same boat as you because I never played the game either, but I have heard of so many anecdotes about the game.
right, and it'll be like, oh, somebody's X is in Fortnite. Like, oh, that's funny, and then it's like, oh no, that's just real. It's just a thing that exists.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go to a computer instead of Fortnite and load up Itch and play all my favorite indie games or whatever.
Yeah. But also it's really cool to see the, I don't know, relatively indie developers getting recognition for the with the collaboration like that because I thought it's pretty cool seeing the Lisa company collaboration in the Fortnite.
yeah, right. There is like it's always like a weird. I wonder how much of people are always looking for like what is my make sure you get your wish list on Steam, or make sure you do this or that. I wonder if there's a future where it is make sure you have a Fortnite collaboration ready lined up. Like
There might be an actual strategy for the game development nowadays.
right, right. Make sure you get an item. Make sure you sign up to have an item added to Fortnite or something weird. Like I guess maybe do they have advertising? I mean, they do. I know they do have like whatever, the DoorDash arena or whatever on Fortnite.
Wait, what?
I I've seen it on the front page of Twitch sometimes when I click on it. It's like people are fighting on. There's like Doritos everywhere or something, and I see it's like the DoorDash. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not an expert on
You
this.
said you're joking.
No, no. This is not a joke. It is at worst me not remembering it properly. But I guarantee, I
Oh, that's
assure you, it's
good.
not a joke. Maybe it was Uber Eats. but
Amazing.
but yeah, it is a whole sphere of like types of games and like this. It's kind of why it's weird to think of all games as like the same like medium in a sense.
Mm.
Because it does feel weird to be like a game you make in Fortnite are like the same thing.
Yeah.
But they feel very different from each other, very apart from each other.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I can really describe it into
Right.
my limited English skills, but yeah, it's like it's really subtly different. So that to the point that I can definitely tell apart from this is from Fortnite, this is from the source material, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, I think even in my my native speaking, I don't like English. We don't have I don't have like the right phrasing for what it is I'm trying to describe. Just that it's
Yeah.
odd. Uh,
Yeah.
but I've got a couple questions for you. Um,
Oh.
these are the stock. These are the true stock Indiepocalypse questions for every single guest, given to us by guests in prior years that I've inherited as my own, and ask of every guest. And
Oh, we are sitting on top of the giant's
yes.
shoulders.
And speaking of sitting on top of giants, what's your favorite type of rock?
Oh, my favorite type of rock is I don't know if it counts as rock, but amethyst, the geodes type of stuff.
I believe those are rocks. I think in my research those are rocks. I think.
Nice.
Uh,
Cool rocks.
and second question, unrelated question, and question that can optionally answer. The first one I require an answer. The second one can have no answer, or no can be an answer. I should say. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Wait, do I really want to be a two character? Is that what I'm getting?
Sorry, what was that?
Hold on, I think my connection just screwed up. Can you
Oh
repeat the
yes,
question
yes.
again?
Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Oh yeah, to be honest, I never played any of the games before, but I know that there's this character that has like this really wicked wing type of stuff at their back with rainbow LED colors all over
Yes.
the tweak, I guess.
Yeah, that
I
that.
I think I thought that design was pretty cool.
Yes, yes, that is of course. Let me make sure I'm correct. Yeah, that's Flandre Scarlet.
Hold on, let me check it out.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one where she got all like those like crystal
Oh
wings.
yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, very, very cool. It's just very cool. A lot of very cool designs, and that is a especially very cool design.
Yeah, it's basically coming from the bullet hell game.
Yeah, yeah. That it's like that's a part of the coolness of it. There's so much. I someone in chat says DoorDash arena with a lot of ellipses. So I think I was right. I think there was a DoorDash arena. I think I was
Oh
correct in
no.
that. Uh, but that'll give us something to think about. Zick, we're down with our time. Thank you for joining me here today for the segment. Uh,
Thanks a lot, man.
I'm going to go on break in a second and see everyone else on the other half of 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Goodbye for now. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Hop Along with Sally too. I'm in fucking Hop Along Town lately. Like just like been listening to Get Disowned nonstop. But speaking of none of that, let's hop along over to our next guest to keep some kind of transition going. Who you may know from issue 57 of Indiepocalypse, yes, but relatively new in terms of release time. Asking the eternal question, who is Johnny Six Gun? Is Siobhan Den. Siobhan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm awesome. I'm feeling good.
Perfect. Feeling good is a great way to feel, honestly. If you can nail it down.
Oh look, I'm more like a person right now than I've been for 8 months. I'm riding the high. Let's
Yes.
go.
I am similarly riding a high because I can send a PAX email because I was given a press release or press list. I'm like, I should have just used this, I guess. I am paying fucking like
Mm,
$2,000 for a booth. Uh,
yeah.
and then, but that means I have to like talk about myself. I'm like, oh yeah, if I step out of my body and I talk about the thing that I do, it does sound kind of cool. Uh, but
Sometimes
speaking,
we have to acknowledge that we have swag,
yeah, and speaking of those things,
even no matter how much we don't like it.
yeah, right, right. No matter how much you think that if you publicly compliment yourself, there'll be a barrage of people being like, "Oh no, no, no," ready to cut you down in a moment's notice, because those people probably don't exist really, or if they do, what's wrong with them? Get a life, dude.
Yeah, trolls and haters.
Um, but speaking of the things that I do, uh, as a variation of the Indiepocalypse intro question, as a commissioned guest,
Hmm.
did you know what Indiepocalypse was when I emailed you?
I did. Yeah, I've been following Indiepocalypse for a while. Admittedly, I hadn't bought many issues in the past, but
That's
I
not a thing I worry about. Um,
yeah, no, but I've known of it for quite a few years. I've been like, I've been following on Edge. I followed you on Twitter. Indiepocalypse is super cool.
maybe that's why.
I didn't know you commissioned people
Oh
until
yes,
you messaged me, but yeah, big
honestly,
fan.
and then if I can remember the 7 months ago to commissioning you, I bet it was like I saw like, oh, this person follows me. There's probably a good chance that I could commission them if I message them. Uh,
No, I was just like, oh, cool.
yeah, and I am on the opposite end as well. I am very, I don't do this from with the heart of a businessman or whatever. It's like I really like these games. I like games a lot, and I like the people who make them a lot. So it's always like I'm like, oh, what? This person followed me? No, oh man, they make cool stuff. Uh, and speaking of cool stuff, I got to ask you, for people
Hmm.
who are unfamiliar, who is Johnny Six Gun, or how would you describe it? I
Okay.
guess.
Well,
You,
in a single sentence, Johnny Six Gun is the story of the world's biggest Hooters fan.
yes.
Um, it's sort of there's a term that I borrow from Andrew Hussey when talking about Homestuck,
Okay. Yes.
because the DNA of Homestuck is absolutely everywhere in Johnny, and
I'm
I
just
think it's pretty
looking.
obvious.
I'm nodding my head and going, ah, yes, I see it now. It's like the third eye
Oh
opens.
yeah, oh yeah. But he described Homestuck as a shitpost epic.
Okay.
And I think that really matches this, like the same vibe that Johnny has, in that it's like a story that has like genuine ambition in what it's trying to do, how it's trying to depict like its themes and character relationships, and tell like a real story that's worth
Yeah.
It's worth remembering, but also has like extremely gesture-ish tendencies and
Yes.
like heavy use of like pop culture reference, like non sequitur humor, kind of pointless distraction, silliness. Like there's still a desire to do something just because it's funny.
Yes.
Um, like the Dark Souls 2 section of the game,
Yeah.
which I essentially knew was going to be a thing before the story had even crystallized.
And that,
It was just too funny.
but it's also a thesis on like itself, the mixture of seriousness and uh, pop culture silliness exists
But
in.
it has a point. It has
Yeah.
a place. There is something emotionally going on in that section, even if my like initial motivations was that it would be really funny.
Yeah. I think that's always a good motivation. It's like, what if it was a thing that I liked? You know, what if I just made a thing
Mhm.
that I liked? Uh, I think that gets through a lot better than uh, trying to make something that you think should be made.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd add to, what is this game, well, it's mostly a walk around sort of cinematic, adventure sort of thing, and it is only the first part in a series. I cannot give anyone listening an estimate for when that series will continue or finish, but
Right.
um,
Taking more
part of the
cues from
reason
Homestuck.
why yeah, part of the reason why I like took the opportunity to start this particular series like with the Indiepocalypse Commission is that I love the idea of having each part be a distinct object so that I can play with format a bunch. Like I'm
Yes.
not expecting part two to look like part one. In maybe in any way, but at least not superficially.
Yeah.
Um, so the story can like the format can adjust to fit the needs of where the story is at that point in time.
Yeah. I thought I was thinking about this a lot, especially in let's say 6 7 years ago when I was had more time to make games, and I had this thought of like, why are all episodic things are like the same genre? Like, isn't it weird that an episodic series? It's practical from like a production sense, but from like an artistic like storytelling sense, would it make more sense if episodic series had different like styles and play styles to them?
Yeah, it does. It's awesome.
Right.
And it kind of reflects the origin of this game in a way because I've made a few different prototypes of Johnny over the years because we might talk more about it later, but it's a story that's been in my mind for a long time.
Right.
And so I've gone through like various iterations of like video game, comic, visual novel drafts to start the story, and I couldn't nail down a format. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna pick all of them. Screw you.
Yeah. Well, to get into to dive right into it, to follow up on that question that was asked earlier, what's your biggest
Hmm?
inspiration for making this game?
Okay, so when I was in high school, I had a like 4 year long situationship. Um, and when I was sort of in my last year of high school, I'm like, all right, all right, all right. I'm gonna nail this shit down. I'm gonna ask this person to like define the terms of what the hell we're doing.
Right.
So we went out for dinner. We're sitting in this like kind of dodgy alleyway, a couple meters away from basically the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2. Um, and uh, yeah, like I'm like I need I basically asked them out formally because apparently that hadn't happened yet.
Right.
They give me a characteristically unclear answer. We like sit there in silence for 10 minutes, and then we start just suddenly making up a guy together. And that guy was Johnny Sixgun. At the time, the original vision of the story, as I remember it, was that he was a guy who lived in Texas, who he had a gun collection and he had to slowly sell it off to
Okay.
pay for health insurance and trips to Hooters. Um, and it was like well, from the very beginning we were just kind of thinking it was funny to have a story called Johnny Six Gun
Yeah.
where there isn't actually any action, no guns are fired. Um, and I don't know, something American healthcare system.
Yes,
Um,
it's a
not that
fun
I'm
thing we have.
subject to that, but I know what you lot have to go through.
I think I have a better version of it. The other really fun part about America is like state to state things are so wildly different.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
you can just like, oh,
My
I don't
instincts tell me Texas must not be the easiest place
I, I
of
don't
all
think
of them,
so.
but you know, but yeah, so and the Hooters were to cope with the health insurance,
Right.
I guess. But yeah, so there I have like a bunch of drawings of this character originally from way back then. Over time, because he's been with me for over half a decade, he
Right.
evolved in a bunch of different ways. His story, I became a lot more obsessed with telling stories that are like fiercely local to me. So eventually, he moved to Point Cook, Melbourne, Australia, a suburb that probably most people in Melbourne don't even really know or care about.
Right.
Um,
I will say
and
from the other side of the
yeah.
world, unfamiliar.
Yeah, well, um, it's it's definitely something that I think you'd need to live in a very small section of the world to like find it even remotely funny.
Right.
But Point Cook is essentially it's like a fairly outer suburb, urban expansion, kind of place. It's like a pain in the butt to get into or get out of through public transport.
Okay. Actually, it's
And
getting more
uh,
relatable now.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of these like sort of uncanny prefab houses, and a
Hmm.
bunch of the streets are named after parts of America.
Okay.
Um, so it's sort of just like in my mind, kind of a mascot for slightly depressing and crusty urban expansion.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also a place that, I grew up around. Like a lot of my friends live there, and so it made sense to set a story in there. But yeah, that happened. I I had this question chasing me around for the longest time of like, why is Johnny such a loser? Because that was the only like part of his character that was always constant.
Right.
And it was very recently in the grand scheme of things that I realized what would become kind of the emotional core of part one, which is the idea that he's totally a fucking repressor. And obviously that came with, me figuring out my own shit because I am a trans woman.
Yeah.
Um, but it all clicked together. It's like, oh shit, yeah, yeah. And I think the story's so much better for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the weird thing about like sometimes you need to like just sit on something forever as you like grow with it in a way,
Mm.
and it'd be like the version you would have made 6 years ago, would not have been this one. It would not.
Yeah,
Not.
for a while, I would tell myself that I'd be ready to tell this story when I turned 25.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I meant by that. I was
Right.
just like, uh, I think at that point I will have achieved the sufficient life experience to tell a story about young people making ends meet. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. You've gained your distance. You're still young enough, but gain your distance from young people that you're at
Hmm.
the ideal young person age. Uh, to wax on it. Uh, but yeah, an important question I need to ask you about.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, Tell me about Evergrace. I want to talk about how that. Why don't they make? Why? When did we lose the light of God? Is what I'm asking. And why can't we make Evergrace anymore? I thought about putting.
That was my impression of
Of
the
the,
Evergrey soundtrack.
yes, I have the Evergrey soundtrack. I thought about. I played on the show multiple times.
Um,
It's
we
incredible.
can't make Evergrace anymore because Breath of the Wild ruined everything for us.
Oh my god, you're right.
Um, Breath of the Wild was the harbinger of the end. Um, uh, I don't know if I can elaborate on that without
No,
uh spending much longer than I have time to be on the show, but it's definitely Breath of the Wild's fault.
I kind of get what you're saying because the thought that immediately jumped in my head is like, once you make a gacha version of a genre, it's gone. It's is lost.
Whoa.
Once a gacha version can exist, what have you? Does it have purpose anymore?
Yeah. The second stupider answer is that it's because we're not putting analog buttons on our controllers anymore.
Right.
Um,
Which is a whole other. I had a realization lately that
mhm.
um, it was like one of the 30,000 times a post went semi viral and talking about, give little freaks money so they can make freaky games, and I realized
Mhm.
how low people's barrier to freak stuff is, and you go, oh, right. If people think big AAA stuff, like whatever, Baldur's Gate 3 is not for freaks, I will say.
No, 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 no. I've even thought about myself as being an acceptable kind of freak.
Right.
Um, I wrote about that a bit in like my manifesto. I was at a sort of industry game, like local community games event thing last year doing speaking, and I realized like, oh, even me and my friends are like an acceptable kind of freak because like I know people who are making awesome work that is like doing well and should be celebrated locally, but they don't show up to any of these things because no one's gonna like respect what kind of work they're making. Um, we gotta like lift up the real perverts among us.
Right. I at, I don't know if you're familiar or with them, but at my I attended my local meetup group. You wouldn't be familiar with them. I don't know how familiar you are with the city of Providence, Rhode Island, but uh, I showed them a bunch of stuff, examples of things that I feature, and I showed, my on my own website, my expert level is GERD Group, um,
Oh
who
yes.
makes truly like dense, like so far from video game things, um,
Yeah. Love going group.
and right, and that is so far from like a marketable, like recognizable video games, uh, but is like super cool stuff, and it's
Yeah.
the thing where we kind of lack the language for that kind of thing within the medium to some degree. But there is a kind of
Yeah, no, for sure.
there is definitely like the weirdness of, like you said, like acceptable freaks, and
Yeah, I guess uh, we even among cool artso fartso guys, we still have like a prudishness that
right.
like um precludes a lot of really interesting work from being celebrated.
Yes, right.
Um,
The prudishness angle is a whole other like side angle to it all,
yeah,
of like, you better not have any naked people in this, or else
good heavens,
it
no.
wouldn't be art anymore, or it wouldn't be the right kind of art, or uh,
It won't be it doesn't get to be art unless it's made of stone if it has naked people in it.
yeah, it is a the games have maybe a weird relationship with naked people compared to other mediums, perhaps. Who knows?
Yeah.
I feel like you can see them in movies just fine, uh,
Mm.
but I mean, games are a tiny baby art form that are barely an art form half the time in terms of public perception. So,
Mm-hmm.
we've got multiple, what's it called, lists by industry experts and critics that include Fortnite as one of the greatest games made of all time. So, I don't know.
Oh,
Burn it down.
epic.
I mean, burn it all down, start from scratch.
Freaking epic, dude.
I know. It's like the 50th best game of all time.
They got John Wick and
Nice. I love John Wick in that he shoots all of his guns. And man, I like Keanu. Keanu's cool. Whatever. I think he gets a bad rap because he just acts kind of in a distinct way.
oh yeah, like he's like the David Byrne of acting. Like the thing that makes him charming and lovely is the fact that it seems like he kind of can't act.
Right. But
At least as like an adult, like okay, not as a like I don't know. There's like young Keanu era movies
yes.
and like old Keanu era movies. Once he grows his hair out, his aura changed.
Yes, no. If you're if you're a Keanu skeptic, go watch like My Private Idaho, and you're like, oh, this guy's ultra charming.
Yeah, he's great. He's a little cutie. I'll kiss. Give him a little kiss.
Yeah, get a little. And even later, he's just kind of gotta. I think it's just The Matrix got popular, and that's not his best style. But people kept putting him in movies where he has to be a cool action guy.
Yeah.
And he's like a. I was watch with a friend, a Skinner Darkly recently.
Okay.
And he's good in that, but it also made me think about like Robert Downey Jr. is best as like a weird freak, like that's his bread and butter, not like charming leading man.
Yeah. It's because he is a weird freak. You know?
Yeah, right. He's like playing close to the vest there. He's like, yeah, I'll just be me. I was coming to be kind of charming, but fucking weird. But yeah, there is all sorts of stuff within the realm of games. Within talking about movies and who knows, and it is an odd particular sort of thing that games are, and like like you said, like Who is Johnny Six Gun will be different games in different iterations, because kind of in some sense, like, what does it mean to like make a game, like I got a lot of like I guess also, I mean, you also, I'm talking to people who are also extremely plugged into the kind of like its sphere of people just kind of making whatever they want to make.
Yeah.
And, we made WASD is something we just made up, It's not real.
Oh yeah, like I'm literally teaching a class right now on alt control.
Yeah.
That like the thing that I always sort of repeat is like, okay, let's not take for granted the idea that like we're using a keyboard or a gamepad, and like just think about the like number of things that you can do now that you could never even envision before, right?
Right.
And even within the realm of like using a keyboard, yeah, it's like WASD is not sacred. There's so many possibilities in there. Even thinking about it as like a rectangular piece of plastic, like what does that offer you? You can smack someone on the head with it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's what was I? Oh, okay. I was playing. What was it? It was Screen Savior. Is that what I'm save? What is?
Oh yeah, Screen Saver. Yeah,
Saver.
yeah.
Yes, and that has
by Duncan Morgan.
And that encourages you to roll your face across the keyboard.
Oh, that's shout out Duncan. I love Duncan. He's one of my friends.
Oh yes,
love that guy.
I will say I had played that game very recently, so just
yes.
As mild spoilers perhaps for upcoming Indiepocalypse scoops. And I'm talking about it also, that too. I'm like, I'm talking about this thing. I'm thinking about it.
Oh yeah, no, that game is brilliant. Dungeon
Yes.
is fantastic. He's so good.
Yeah, and that is like I think it's weird because I think I am like 10 to 15 years too early for like the game scene I want.
Mm,
It seems like I am more clued in, or I am more like in touch with people who are like just graduating college, are going into college. That kind of people are in their early 20s and 20s right now than I was than like
yeah.
people around my age group. They feel like too locked into the old school. Uh,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, certainly, as someone who is, I mean, not in university or anything, but not far from having been in university, right?
right.
Still early career. It's like we're in a period of time where every assumption is about the nature of game production, both commercially and non-commercially, is kind of just like outright ridiculous to try and follow because
Right.
everything is changing every 5 seconds, and it's like, yeah, who the hell knows where we're gonna be in
Yeah.
10 years?
Right. Right. You like is your like I assume you've got your 10-year plan of making sure you're on TikTok and you got your wish list going. Then you got to line up with your next fest, and you've got to.
Uh,
And if you do all these magical alchemical things, who is Johnny Six Gun? The complete story will be a 10 million seller. As
yeah,
long as you just get
and
X number of wish lists and everything.
Yeah, and as long as wish lists don't stop being a reasonable metric, and as long
Right.
as TikTok doesn't disappear and get replaced with something else, and you lose
Right.
all your following, and assuming that no like despotic freaks buy any of the platforms that you use and rely
Right. So
on.
long as Steam is a simple, reliable, single marketplace, all these things, if it all lines up, you will be able to release a game, and then you have to go, what am I going to do? That I released a game, it's successful. Okay, this will cover me for 5 more years. I plan on living for 75 more. What do I do for the next 70 years after that?
Yeah.
You go, I think it's the weird like collapse of the industry sort of helps people, like forces them to rethink it in a way.
Yeah, for sure. I find it quite freeing a little bit to know
Yeah.
that like um investing too hard in any particular hustle is just like a really pointless exercise at the
Right.
moment.
Right.
My response to that has been, and admittedly I've been slacking off on it, but my response to that has been like if I'm going to be doing marketing with a capital M, then I'm going to be focusing on more direct forms of communication, like emails and
Yes.
I don't know, just being in like the places that I already frequent and like sharing my work there. But because social media is a nebulous beast at the best of times, and it's clearly not stable.
Yes. Right.
A platform might be banned, a platform might be bought by a despotic freak.
Right. Right.
Like,
Something you could never predict could happen at any moment. And it's like, yeah, that's why I've been going to like events a lot more, because it's like, oh, I can just go straight
yeah,
to people and like
local scenes are wonderful.
give them things, and then they will give their friends things and tell their friends about things.
Mm. And especially as computer people, like I think we all always like yearn for more excuses to be in a real place and
Yes.
do a real thing with our real hands, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I've thought about something. I thought about this in relation to, there was within the Indiepocalypse Discord, the world's most polite and quiet Discord that I don't have to ever think about or moderate. Um, and I love it for that. But someone was recommending seeing a movie, and then I saw that movie like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I want to be like, oh yeah, I did see that movie. But then my instinct in that is like with my friends, where it's I will just none of us ever talk in our own little private Discord channel. We just wait till we hang out, basically.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh wait, I'm never going to see these people. I should say something in there. I should be like, hey, I also saw that movie in that. As a quick version of it, there's a movie. A bunch of artists in Providence lived in a mall, and they're showing that movie inside that mall they snuck into and lived in, and it's a cool thing.
Awesome.
Very distinct experience, and I've got a lot to think about. But you know what else is I've got a lot to think about? It's rocks. Sean, tell me about rocks. What's your favorite one?
So I love. Okay, this is not a real answer because
Okay.
they don't appear in nature, and that means they're not a rock. But I do really love bismuth crystals. But I'm a huge enjoyer of all forms of rock that are like primary ores for some kind of metal that we use in our daily lives. I'm a huge nerd about rock, so my answer is galena. I love
Okay.
galena.
That's
Um,
that's a new rock for me.
yeah, get an image up on the stream.
I could, but I'm not
Galena
going
is
to.
galena is like the main way we get lead.
Okay.
It has these beautiful, big, chunky, like cubic crystals. It's very greebled cube sort
Yeah.
of vibe. And like delightfully shiny, sort of dark with like a slightly bluish tint to it. It's very pretty to look at.
Oh, there's also a Galena, Illinois, where you can do things
Is there
like
now?
antique tractor driving. This
I
is gonna
wonder
be
if Galena, Illinois is a place where people mine Galena the rock.
maybe. I mean, most likely this could be you. I post in the private Discord, our chat.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
Driving an antique tractor. I mean, probably that industry is probably collapsed, and now who knows? That's
Riding
the
my tractor over the rock fields.
yeah. That is the beauty of America. That I'm sure is beauty in other things, which is industry dies, turns into mills. Artists take up mills, and then things get gentrified, and then mills turn into strip malls, and the strip malls turn to empty buildings again, and they turn to escape rooms.
Fucking escape rooms, yeah.
There's nothing like the cursed realization when I realized that like the reason escape rooms took off is that there were a bunch of businesses like and a bunch of startups and everything that just went out of business, and so there's just these giant
Yeah.
cheap spaces.
As someone who does a lot of urban exploration
Yeah.
and graffiti and stuff, I'm not sad when a big building becomes abandoned.
No.
That's a beautiful little playground.
I look at an abandoned building that I pass regularly that's boarded up and overgrown, and I point at it as a piece of sanctity within my town. Of like, once that abandoned building is finally like replaced, it's that and the giant ugly neon sign. Once those two things are gone, this town has fallen. It's like truly gentrification has moved in. There'll be friggin' we already have a brewery, and like
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah.
acai bowls.
Are they making IPAs?
You know what? I do. I think they make some IPAs, but they make something else too.
Yeah, okay.
And I
Out
do
of
buy.
curiosity.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, you finish.
I was gonna say I did buy some of their beer at a local place, and I actually thought it was pretty good. Like I turned around and was like, yeah, I want to actually support local business though.
Hell yeah.
Even if they're like a cursed harbinger.
Out of curiosity,
Yeah.
when you go to a local like bar or pub or whatever, how many of the beer selections are IPAs? Because here in Melbourne, and I assume it's because Melbourne is kind of a hipster ass city, it's like 7 IPAs and a lager, and I hate IPAs, so I usually have one choice.
I will say I think I haven't done a full survey, but so far as I know, I think there is one bar in my town.
I see.
And I do not go there. I don't think it's the right clientele for me, nor am I the right clientele for it.
I see.
there may be a second one, but given that people who friends who were similarly of not the right clientele went to that bar, I assume it must be the only one that we have. I do not know what they have on tap. Probably Budweiser, the king of beers.
The king of beers.
Maybe a Sam Adams. But speaking of royalty and nobility, Siobhan, do you have a favorite Toho character?
So, I've never played a Toho game, but I do because I've seen a lot of the like animations and videos that used to go viral, like old style meme.
Yes.
So my answer is Ibuki Suika.
Okay.
The Japanese goblin of We Are Japanese Goblin fame.
I have to. I'm not familiar with this particular. Okay. Still do not know. I looked it up. Still do not know what it is.
Okay. All right. Listen, I'm giving you some homework.
Okay.
Play this on the pre-show next time. Boing.
Okay. Yes, I did. That is what I found. I do have.
Yeah.
I do have the total June Toho discography, so to speak, available. But this escapes my knowledge, which is
I am Japanese goblin. Yeah, it's adorable. It's a great song.
okay. I will. I was like, I'll say this for later, but it's in here. It'll be forever saved for later.
Yeah, no, Nico Nico Duga from like 2005 through 2012 is just constantly pumping it out, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that's. Get out of here! I want every single web page wants to open up a friggin' ads, and I'm sick of web pages opening up ads. I do not need to see your inline video or whatever. Cursed. Anyhow, thank you for joining me here today. We're gonna.
It's a pleasure.
Look at those little guys go. I'm watching little. See, folks, that's why I got to hang on person or in your own little groups, not just live vicariously through people, because then you get to see little dancing guys that the chat that people listening cannot see.
Posting silly gifs in the group chat that no one gets to see.
Yes.
Can you believe it, audience? The outrage. I am
never pivoting to video around here. That is like truly the most cursed thing that happened to podcasting is pivoting to video. Why? It's radio. Why would you ever want radio on video? Anyhow, these are good gifts. As a gift connoisseur, I am thinking about these. There was a time where I was making a lot of my own gifts. It's the only way to do it. But I watch less stuff on my computer now, so I have less opportunity to be like, I want to make a GIF of it. Anyhow, I'm ending this segment before I start talking too much about GIFs. We'll be back in Can See But Us. And we're truly the sign of like the fact that like video games are not a respectable medium is that we don't have like pristine re-releases of the CDI Zelda games and they're not respected as the high art that they are. But
and also that a bunch of games are just lost in time.
Yes. I like to call my shot if I want to call my shot online, it's that at some point I want to I have this whole like tape club where I'm curating games. If I can do a wild pull, it would be I want to get the Town with No Name. If you're familiar with the Town with No Name.
I am not.
Oh, it's weird. I think it was like a student game if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it rules really. Like where were they? I think they were like they were somewhere over in the old Scotland. I knew they were somewhere over in that general area. I think it was like a Scottish student game, or it was like kind of like an early like in that shitpost era almost of high concept. I highly recommend people go check out The Town with No Name.
I will play it. I love weird indie games that nobody remembers.
Yeah, it's from the when did it come out? The early 90s. Yeah, you played on. Yeah, right. So it'd probably be like the kind of game that you would like. In that, because there's like MS DOS floppy stuff. Like when you would like, pre-itch indie, it was like, hey, mail me money and I will mail you a Ziploc bag with a floppy disk in it. That is my game. Of that
I wish I
early.
could do that now.
You might be able to. Yeah, 92. But yeah, it's kind of like. Anyway, we're not gonna sit around talking about the town name forever. We have our next guest, who I haven't even introduced yet. Who you maybe I was worrying about trying to say this word out loud. I did not practice. Oh, actually, it doesn't look that hard. Actually, now I think about it. From issue 62 with Omatophilia, it's Mala. Mala, how are you doing today?
Hello. I'm good. You did it. You pronounced it.
Yes.
Yippee!
I have a couple of friends who have last names like that are like, there's just a lot of letters. And then when you look at all the letters, you're like, oh, actually, this is actually very easy to say.
Yes.
So I am.
It's just scary.
Yeah,
Looking at
right.
long words.
Right. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to think about this long word. And then you go, oh, it's not a very scary long word at all. I think a lot. There was a thing I think a lot about. Anyway, I know I'm not going to put some random person I went to college with on blast. It was just very funny about something they had said. But anyway, speaking of the game of Omatophilia, actually, no, I finally get to ask my question, my upfront question that I always never get to ask. Hey, how'd you hear about Indiepocalypse?
I've known about Indiepocalypse for a really long time. I have a lot of dev friends, so
Yeah.
there's two ways that I learned about it. Either way, either a friend did a commission for it, or I knew someone who submitted to it.
Right.
But I finally got motivated to submit because my friend Kale submitted their game and he
Okay.
got in, and I was like, well, whenever Kale does something, I also do it. So.
Oh yeah, no. And also the fun part about that is me like seeing connections, of like who is, like finding out who are these interconnected communities and like friend groups.
Oh yeah, all my friends, they'll be flocking here, so just look out for them.
I have generally, I have Kale's game. Like when I have my zine ready to go, I have Reaper's Goodbye. Like, is the page that if I have one open, it's always that one because both of those pages are so good. If you've never seen, if you've ever seen them, like Reaper's Goodbye is inspired by old Gekiga stuff. Mm-hmm. And like I forget the word for like those library. I think there's a word for like the library book style of like manga that was released in like the early like 50s 60s sort of stuff. But both the
I don't know.
The covers and the postmortem page are styled after it, but they're very cool. But also very cool. We're not just going to sit here and talk about other people. Is your own game. If people are unfamiliar with it, how would you describe it?
Yeah. So sometimes kids play really weird psychological horror games, and then they get addicted to them and never stop playing them. Then they go, I guess I'll make my own game. And then they work on that for 4 years and they release it and they're like, oh, okay. And then no one knows. Either people completely get the point of the game or don't. So yeah, but yeah, it's just a 2D RPG maker game.
Yeah,
that's all.
I have for events I have like a hand-me-down Chromebook that I use, and I made like a little catalog kind of thing.
Mhm.
Of like with tag things, and I do have a distinct RPG tag, but also RPG Maker tag, because it's kind of like if you know, you know, you know what I mean? Of like,
Yeah, like a lot of my friends, you'll probably know they're my friends because we all just make RPG Maker games.
yeah, right. It's like I go through. Oh no, I'm blanking on the name of the thing. What's that? We were just talking about it, like very recently. That Yume Nikki the collaborative fan project thing.
I know, Collective Unconscious.
Yes, I
Or
think
another
so.
one, or Kiki. There's so many of them.
Yeah, I forget which. That's the thing. I'm trying to blank on which one it was. Well, yeah, no, I'm just looking through, just clicking on like your collaborations. I'm like, oh yeah, there you go. That name is familiar. I know Starbridge also a contributor to an Indiepocalypse.
Yeah, that's chill. Garbage is so pog. I have a gif of the angel from their game and my favorites. I almost sent it, but then I didn't.
Yeah, there is like so many. It's also like why part of when I was talking about the second segment, kind of getting exhausted, sort of with my era of like just kind of like games. Like it's also why, yeah, there we go, little spinning angel there. Is that like mainstream game culture is just very tiring. when there's
Yeah.
when there are people making like so much cool stuff every single day, and it just like feels like it lacks the art house, like a recognition of an art house scene, even though the art house scene is like thriving in terms of people making stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to me. I complain about this all the time. Though I kind of like how I like that weird stuff isn't super popular and
Right.
mainstream because I don't just because of reasons. But also I can't lie when people are like, "Man, people don't make any of this kind of game," and I'm like pointing at Itch.io, but
Right.
I don't. But
Right. It's like people make 8 million of these types of games all the time, and they've like always been like making stuff, and it's very, very weird. Like occasionally someone will like broadly gesture, like in some long thread they make about indie games, they'll broadly gesture towards like Itch.io, but they'll never mention any game on there. Perhaps because they never actually played any games from Itch. They just know it's a place where it has weird games.
And even like I'll sometimes read like the thoughts of devs and players, but they'll only ever talk about games that are like really well known on
Right.
Itch.io. But the thing is like you, it if you just like browse and just play random things that interest you,
Yeah.
you'll see a whole new world. So you will
Yeah.
also play bad games,
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
fun. It's good for the soul to play bad games.
Oh, like bad art is cleansing, I I had a double feature with my friend the other day, or a week or so. We watched Constantine, and then we watched Attack of the Clones, and like, man, that movie Attack of the Clones, I would say it's a real bad movie, but it looks really cool, like so, and like there is so much stuff that like also like the binary of something is 100% good or 100% bad,
Yeah, like there's plenty of things I like a lot of fiction that is admittedly trash. Like I
Yeah.
spend a considerable amount of time just reading random manhwa on manga sites.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this isn't good, but I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
And I love bad movies. So
yeah, no, there are tons of like my quote unquote online only manga, which is something I'm not going to buy when it comes out, but I read it all. But I'm like, I'm not gonna like I don't want this in my house. It's not that, but it was like a nice trashy read on my break at work.
real. I don't want this in my house is perfect sentence.
Right. That's how I got it. Because I am very like, I like to collect, while I've got the luxury of rural space, and I like to have a large library, so I can always go back and look at things. And it's like, I like that. I like to. And it's also nice because you can like give them to friends, and like the power of like a friend to like give someone a book is like handy. I always a lot of times if someone's like, oh yeah, we should read this, you should read this, and then I'm like, I don't know. But if they like give me a book and it has to like, if they give it to me, and I'm like, I was gonna sit in my house.
You feel the weight of it in your bag.
Right. I have it like sitting on a table next to me. I'm gonna read this, Like the quickest way to force me to try something is just to give it to me.
Honestly, real. Actually, yeah. If someone just gives me something, I like consuming things that my friends give me.
Right.
But also I like being pressured into doing it because the thing is I put off things for no reason.
Yes. Right. Like if it was a thing, like it was something I would have had to like, I was giving I got caught off by Trashy Yowie, but yeah, if I will, a friend will like give me something, like friends will talk about it. If it was like I always had to, like, if I would had to buy myself or like go to the library, it would probably take me like 10 times as long to get to it as someone just giving it to me.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a good thing most things I like aren't in print because then I would give them to my friends and be like, read this.
Right.
Even if it's bad.
Yeah.
Because I just want to talk about stuff with people.
Yeah, that I mean, it's part of like the charm of that the movie night I have is like that's when I used to watch bad movies, Like I could not sit and watch Attack of the Clones by myself. Like it would like exhaust me. But
that's what I would do on the Sci-Fi Channel back when I had cable. I would like be like, "Hello, cousins," and then I would make them watch horrible sci-fi movies with me for hours.
Right. Because like there's like those, even the best like bad art has like those brutal lull periods, that like are hard to get through, but then like the friends help you get through it. Do you have a favorite like? And this might be a 2-part question. Do you have a favorite bad film, and do you have like a good like, I gotta show this to somebody bad movie?
Okay, so it's kind of complicated because like one of my favorite movies is Repo the Genetic Opera, which I think is good, but in a really like specific way. But I also think it's bad.
Yes. Okay.
But also, but if for like actual bad movies, and I can't even remember. I watched them and forget. But yeah, I love Repo the Genetic Opera because it's literally just a goth musical.
Yes. that is.
And it just has so much weird stuff. It'll like have like the worst like vocal performance ever, and then it's like, here's this really cool imagery you'll never see again, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, I think that's like I mean, now I'm thinking about. I spent a lot of my life confusing that with Repo Man, which are very different things. But I think this is probably like a candidate, perhaps, because this is some wild looking. Yeah. I
love Repo the Genetic Opera. I would watch it over and over and over again forever.
Yeah, I do. I mean, or really, I do enjoy musicals, especially like kind of. Now, I think I don't want to slander this in putting this in paired company because I also think this is a good. I think it's a very good movie, but maybe other people might think it's. I really like Phantom of the Paradise a lot, which is also a kind of trashiest sort of rock opera thing.
I was scrolling through my watch list, and right as you said that, I just looked down and Phantom of the Paradise was there, and I was like, well, I guess I'll watch that with
Oh
my
yeah,
friends
I
now.
love that movie a lot. It's singular, super weird.
I love weird movies.
Yeah.
I like all my favorites are weird, but like on the list of bad movies I like that aren't weird, I like big creature movies like Lake Placid.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Um,
well, a thing that a classic of hey, I need to watch this with friends is like a later period. I guess like maybe past the first movie. I don't know how the second movie is, but like Godzilla movies are like cheesy,
I've only
schlocky.
seen one Godzilla movie.
Like which one was it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I saw it at like the movies, and I
Oh,
just remember I think they were in Japan, but
okay.
they were all speaking English and everyone was white, so I don't know why they were in Japan, but
Okay.
they were.
There's there's a very there's a very good experience I recommend to people if you've got like 4 hours to burn. Um, just one time, like, is to watch the original Godzilla and then the American cut of it back to back because it's very funny. Like the American version is that they added like an American guy and one other actor, one other American, not like white American, but like an Asian American actor,
Mhm.
as like his buddy, and they're like he's like in the corner of all the scenes basically of the Japanese movie that gets recut around him, and he's like a journalist. It's really weird.
It's just around.
Yeah, like he just kind of like they insert him basically into the movie, and I like that idea of instead of remaking foreign
The
films,
Americans have to feel normal. We
right,
have to add an American person.
right. So instead of remaking movies for the American audience, we should just recut them like that and have like a guy, the American guy, standing in the corner, like watching.
We should we don't even have to like recut them. We can just like put like a cutout of
Yeah,
him. He can just stand there,
he's like, oh,
awkwardly
whoa,
sized. It's
oh,
like, oh, it's an American. I feel so much better now.
yes. This guy going, those your Swedish vampires, they're so weird, huh?
Yeah, I have friends who are really into the Japanese Godzilla movies, and
Yeah.
they'll rant to me about the American ones, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I love listening to people be passionate about things, so keep
Yes.
going.
Right. That is why I love kind of people's like having like singular interests, and why the exhaustion of pushing towards like the monoculture or whatever of the internet, and being like I just want to like people to like the weird things that they like, and I want to hear about them.
Yeah, I had to deactivate my Instagram because I feel like everybody was just having the worst takes ever
Right.
because of of that kind of thought process of needing to agree on something for
Yeah.
like, and I'm just like, can you guys just use your brains? And then I deactivate
Right.
it.
I like it's when I see things like that, I think about like when people get mad about like just some random stranger on the internet who doesn't have the same, doesn't like the movie in the same way they do. I always think like, do all your friends have the exact same opinions as you do? Like, I have plenty of friends who hate things that I unabashedly love, and it's not
Yeah,
like
like my entire friend group, like if you are not okay with something you like potentially being strongly hated,
yeah,
then it won't work out because I have things I like that my friends hate, and I
yeah.
have things my friends love that I hate, and we just casually talk about it around each other.
Right,
So
right. It's like you have the casual politeness not to just yell at them all the time about how you hate that thing.
yeah, exactly. And if I do, then it's just fun to go back and forth with
Right.
someone about why they enjoy something and why I don't. Because I like media critique. I think it's fun. I wish
Yeah.
that I could be a critic, but unfortunately, jobs aren't real.
No. Yes. No. Jobs are fake, and critic jobs are the unless you're the right kind of like doing like a what you call it, a 5 hour video essay on B movie or something.
Yeah, the other day I saw like whenever I see whenever I get a video like
Yeah.
recommended to me, it's like a 30-hour like analysis of like a video a show I watched in my youth. I'm like, damn, I wish I could watch that, but I
Right.
don't remember anything about that show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also like the weirdness of like what you call it, the fact that it is all just like straight ahead pop culture stuff that really like B movie isn't really saying anything, you know. So it's
Yeah, I just think it's funny.
yeah.
I mean, like, when I was a kid, I hated that movie because I was like, what the hell? Because
Right.
I didn't get the humor as a child because I was like, why is it this the way that it is? But now I'm old and I understand.
Yeah, and it's
And
all
I don't need like a video essay to explain to me.
yeah. Right. It's I think a lot about all these sorts of things. But speaking of things I think a lot about, rock. Rock conceptually rocks the geos, rocks the music, all of them around. Mala, what's your favorite type of rock?
My favorite rock, it's really boring because my granny and I share the same birthstone, so I like rubies, and also
Okay.
it's red, and I like wearing red and black. So, but I also I collect like gemstones, so I just like ruby because it's also a gemstone.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm increasingly learning about a lot of rock collectors. A secret, uh, uh, also a shared trait among Indiepocalypse contributors, collecting rocks.
yeah,
Uh,
I buy them from museums and also just pick them up from the
yeah,
sidewalk.
yeah. Nature's just giving them to you. They got them everywhere. Uh,
Wherever I go to like a museum and there's a rock section, I go batshit.
yeah, because they've got a bunch of rocks. Probably just like they dug up all that other stuff. Like, what are you gonna do with all these rocks? Oh, sell them to people.
Yeah, I should give them to me.
Yeah. And second question: do you have a favorite Toho character?
Yeah, admittedly, I don't know a lot about Toho, but I do like Clown Piece because
Okay,
a lot of artists I like draw like
I
art of the characters, and Clown Piece is so gaudy and beautiful to me.
Clown Piece of the American Toho.
Yeah,
Yes,
like how horrible she looks. It's
just
amazing. I
truly,
say that in like a way of admiration.
yes, yeah. No, I under truly just like a real mess. Look, Clown Piece looks like someone who would be named
Actually,
Clown
here, I have
Piece.
a connection with Indiepocalypse.
Okay.
The reason I like Clown Piece so much is actually because of one artist named Insects who did an art piece for one of the covers of
Yes.
Indiepocalypse. I wish I had the Clown piece on hand, but I didn't think about that until now. So
Yeah. I'm trying to actually, if I remember correctly, that is issue 57. That is the issue Siobhan was in. Is the one
oh
Insects did the
yeah.
cover for. That is with the person kind of bent, kind of curled over on like the floor, trying to describe this thing. It'll come up in about 14 issues if you're watching live. If you're not, just look up 57. It's right there. Yeah, yeah. That's just like people who make cool art, and I just like look at their websites and go, "Oh, you make cool art. What if I paid you money to make a cool piece of art for me?" And they say, "Sounds good to me."
Yeah, Insects art is awesome.
Yeah, it is like, yeah, super in that like. Anyway, I huge fan of artists, understandably, you know. And like people who have like these really strong personal styles that like jumps out at you.
Yeah, I feel similarly.
But we're gonna go on our last break of the show and then come back in about 1 minute and 14 seconds. Goodbye for now.
I think Indiepocalypse is awesome.
Yes,
So I hope you do
Yeah,
it
me too.
forever.
Me too. We're back from break. It is the weird thing of having done it for 5 years and having so many people like yourself be like, "Oh yeah, it's just a thing I've known about for a long time." Um, you know, as increasingly, like, eventually there'll be a time, in theory, in the future, where someone's like, "How did you hear of Indiepocalypse?" And like, "I don't know. It started before I was born." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm older now."
When my sisters age up, my brother, I guess, I'll be
Yeah.
like, I was in this zine, and then he'll be like, what? And then I'll be like, Andrew, look, it's someone who existed
Yeah.
after the zine and
Right.
knows about it now.
Yeah. It's just weird. Like, we were back, of course, from Indiepocalypse Radio. That was the Stalin with Sausage Eyeball. We're back with Zikamala. Siobhan had to leave. If you want to check out Siobhan's game, who is Johnny Sixcon on Siobhan's game, I will. Is SIOBHAN -dent .itch.io is where you find those games. It's highly recommend people check out the probably soon to be released Johnny Sixcon plus all his other games. All these people on here make a lot of cool games that I highly recommend. It's not like these Indiepocalypse contributors are one-off people,
Yeah.
I mean, I cease existing after this is over. I
Right,
don't know
right.
about y'all.
You have to make. You made one lucky game, and all your past and future games are not worth anyone's time. But no, I mean, and you had 2 games that you submitted. I'm like, oh, these are both good.
I forgot
Yeah.
time.
Sometimes people will submit multiple things, and I don't think I've ever. I think maybe only once if I ever told someone, no, only this one, the other one, no. But generally, it's someone. I'm always like, hey, pick whatever ones you want. Like, they're both good. You got you people that make you're making good stuff.
Really entertained by the concept of you being like, no, you have to submit this one.
Yeah, I think I have maybe done it once, and it feels like a mean thing to do.
I mean, I would. I mean, I know some people would mind, but I would be like, yay, now my decision's easier.
Yes, right. But it is like, within this like indie space, I think it's harder to like, if you hit, it's harder to start missing. I don't know if that makes sense. Because there's like you kind of got a thing going on usually, and it's they're always like, I'm looking for like interesting things and things that like really strike me, and usually and generally, oh yes, perfect, we've got Clown Piece, a Girls Last Tour / Clown Piece piece of fan art.
Nice.
Um,
Oh, they're eating hamburgers too. Incredible.
yeah. Now, when are those cowards going to release? Oh, I'm blanking on the name of it. Shimeji Simulation. When is that coming out in English?
I don't know. I read it all, so
I also like, quote unquote, coming out in English. I say.
I would like to collect. Well, I don't have any space for manga right now,
Right.
but my friend bought a bunch of Shimeji Simulation merch on JP Mercari, so maybe I'll just do that.
Yeah, I had. My friend just went to Taco Che. I was like, give me a bunch of stuff from Taco Che, which is like alternative, like indie stuff. Stuff that's like never gonna come its way, because that's really like the stuff I like in general. Things I'm most interested in, like people picking up, is like stuff that just like, we have the luxury of like a lot of fan translations of a lot of stuff, but it's weird how like in games is less common. It feels like sometimes than like, I have. I'm pointing over at my entertainment center that no one else can see, and how and how I have on it, both Drive My Car and Parasite, neither of which are English movies, American movies.
It's fair.
But there is an impulse in film to just like, oh yeah, we got to make sure we translate a lot of, looking to like non-English speaking movies and being like, oh yeah, what if we also tried to bring those out all the time? And sometimes like looking at the past and that kind of thing as well, trying to like, oh, let's bring out, the urge to translate and make stuff accessible. Feels like it doesn't exist in games the same way,
I feel like you can do rough translations of movies and you can still get the point across pretty well.
Right.
And also it's a much faster process than with video games.
Which is
with
like,
video games you have to have some coding knowledge. With manga and comics and other mediums, you don't. So I think the barrier to entry is a bit higher.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that tricky code, like it's the code part of it all keeps holding games back in so many ways.
Yeah.
Of like,
like
it's not
thankfully
like
there seems to be a way of making the translation part easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, still it's hard stuff.
Like I think there are some where it's like, there's not enough room to fit an English translation literally within the game, like there's not enough remaining storage space to have an English translation. I think like a front mission game is one of the situations like that, if I remember correctly. I don't
Really, that's interesting.
I don't fully remember, but that is like an oddity of like games and like the games not having like a source text, so to speak, that can always just be downported to other things. Like there's no, master recording or like original film or thing like that you can just say, okay, well, I have this original recording. This is a VHS now. This is a Blu-ray now. This is a DVD now. It's like, well, this is like a game, and I can't just say, okay, well, now I press a button and it's on PC, it's on Xbox, it's on Switch.
And that's why so many games get lost forever.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if you ever was on like Game Shed in like the early 2010s, but I used to be on that site a lot. And then the guy who owned it converted to Christianity and was like, I can't host these evil games anymore.
Oh no.
So any game that was only hosted on that site is just gone forever.
Oh, yes. Oh no.
No, yeah, I have like games on my hard drive that are like that. That I've looked online to try and track down, and so far as I can tell, don't exist.
Yeah, I also have like some old visual novels on my hard drive that I know there are no re-uploads of, but I carry them, so I don't want to delete them.
Right, but it also feels weird to just like upload someone else's work, at the same time.
Yeah.
Even if you're like, no, this isn't mine, I'm re-uploading this for, posterity.
Archival purpose.
Yes.
That's understandable. In a way, I think you're like keeping them from becoming a true lost media.
Yeah. Yeah, right. There's like, there's that statistic of whatever what's that video game history statistic of like Video Game History Foundation, I should say. Finish that that acronym. There was like 90% of games are technically lost media, even though we can get them. There are like 90% of games are out of print or something like that.
Ooh.
And it's crazy because people are weird about you downloading games that you can't legally buy. Anyway, That's why My Abandonware is the best site ever.
Right. Yeah, because there is like, what are you supposed to do? Right, you
just not play them.
Right, yeah.
Just like let it be for gore and
let it just sit around, not doing anything, because somebody doesn't want to like, re-release these things.
Oh yeah. Man, it's
It
really
makes
a
me
tough
feel
situation.
crazy because I
Oh,
really just have always liked really weird kids games.
right,
Like
right.
because I grew up with them and they heavily influenced how I exist now.
Yeah,
And
Mm.
but a bunch of them just aren't accessible anymore except via sites like My Abandonware and the like. So
right,
it's
right.
just like, well, I guess I'll just die.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Zik, what were you say?
no, I was just, you know, I think my microphone is getting wonky.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, okay. That way you were. That's what it was.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
cutting. You were just cutting it out. Okay. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
my microphone isn't the best.
No, that's fine. It's. I mean, as far as how you sound good. Just.
Nice.
I had a previous problem with this computer where it was like, or this with this microphone where any minor adjustment and I would lose connection.
Oh
I don't
no.
know what changed, but now it works. Uh, yeah, as I feel. Yeah, yeah. There is. I mean, that it is a perfect example. Drive a Car is a film a lot about like language stuff. Anyway, I highly recommend people watch. If you're like me, like 3 hour movie, hell yeah. Or is it? It's not. No, it's not. It was 4. I was thinking of A Brighter Summer Day. I was trying to think of the longest movie I had on in my collection because Drive a Car was like about. I think it's like a few minutes short of like 3 hours. But I'm like, that's baby stuff. What else do I got?
Is it a Japanese movie?
It
I'm looking
is.
on Letterboxd.
It
Okay,
is. Yeah,
bug.
yeah.
Oh,
His previous release, Happy Hour. I think that's 5. I believe that's 5 hours. Uh,
Really? What?
yeah.
it's 1 minute less from three. It's 1 minute under 3 hours.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a.
Wild.
Yeah. That's it's a journey, but also it breezes by. Did not even feel like it. Yeah. Happy Hour is 5 hours 17 minutes long.
Oh god, it's real.
Yeah, and you just nestle up on a weekend. That's like 1/60th of a Final Fantasy. You can do that.
3 hour looks really
Wait, Final Fantasy is that long? I never played the game before.
cool.
There's I think it's really like give or take depending on how long some of those are. I think
I see.
they kind of creep up with time as like time goes on. Their length increases,
Oh,
but some of them are like surprisingly like playable. Right? I mean, they're all playable. It also depends how much you enjoy role playing games, and sometimes they scratch my itch right where I need it scratched. You know, I was like, I want to want to have my guys on one side, and you know, their guys on the other side, and then I press a button, they hit each other. That's all I want sometimes in a game.
I
I
mean, it's a
haven't played
guaranteed
a lot
choice.
of long role-playing games, but I'd like to. I think I can't think of any that I ever got super into that I finished, except for Persona 2. But I will
Mm.
never playing Persona 2. Um, don't.
Yeah,
I like Persona 2. It just upset me so much that I can't. That there were the years for years I couldn't think about it.
I have it. I haven't not played through it yet. Luckily I got that like all the personas like early on. I say that as if I can't just download them, you know.
That's fair.
But
I only have heard of the game. Oh, you can go.
no. I'm here every week. Everyone can always just go right through me, and I'll stop talking.
Sorry, like the delay in the voice chat here is like kind of making me hard to, decide whenever it's safe or not to start a new place, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's understandable. You know, we're also getting close to this show coming up for 2 hours, which is a
Oh, really? Oh, man.
good stopping point for me usually that I use. Also, because now it's getting later for me. Usually, I start getting hungry, and then because I'm hosting this show in like the afternoon. But now I'm like, I don't want to just go straight to bed after this. I gotta enjoy my weekend. So.
Oh yeah.
I will.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talk about napping in the pre-show. I also took like a nice weekend, like midday nap at like 2:00.
I got to work at 8 a.m. tomorrow, so
Yeah.
I'll go to bed. And also,
Oh,
I got a call and I was dealing with it until like 2 a.m. last night.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. That's a lot. I just kind of naturally wake up at like 7 in the morning just because I have to go to work every day. And
I
then
envy you.
and then I go back to sleep on the weekends. I go,
Oh man.
but I still like will wake up and I got very lucky. But anyhow, besides promotional stuff, does anyone have any kind of pressing statements or questions or things they want to say as we start to wrap up?
Yay, Silk Song, Deltarune, yay!
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, are the video games coming out? I don't play modern video games.
Yes, sir.
You should play Deltarune at least.
I mean,
Silk Song would probably be
I
good.
do.
I just.
I do love Undertale a lot, so I should.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually still need to play Undertale, but I do love
It's very
Deltarune.
Okay, you know, I'm waiting for Toby Fox to use his boundless influence to get the rest of those Onion games kind of released in English. I mean, once again, you can still easily play like Tulip and Rule of Rose or whatever, but there's a nice thing about like. I think people overestimate how easy emulation is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think now it's really easy.
Yeah.
Compared to 10 years ago. Not to disagree with you.
No,
I just remember
no.
that when I was 14, I was in hell.
Yes.
But...
Yes, I think like especially because you can just buy any weird Game Boy thing, fake Game Boy that has like 80 million games on it.
Yeah, with the emulation tech inside.
Yes.
I got a Steam Deck just to play emulated games.
Ooh,
And
nice.
it was fun. Yeah, I have to fix it. Because one of the buttons is broken, and that button fucks up the entire control control scheme of the Steam Deck. Yeah, it makes me feel deranged, but I miss it because it was great.
Yes, the guy. I love Tulip.
Oh yeah, it's the guy from the Tulip.
Yeah.
I love Tulip too. It's great. You should play. Actually, here's a game I'll recommend, and also I'm gonna try to pressure that person to apply to Indiepocalypse.
Okay.
What's it called? It's inspired by Tulip. Man, I can't remember suddenly. I wish Starvid was here. 1 second.
No, that is often my problem on the show constantly of going, I knew this, I don't remember this thing off the top of my head, but I do 100% know it. But pressured in the moment, you know. No, I love it when people encourage people, because usually a lot of games, sometimes people will be like, oh yeah, I saw that you added my game to your giant to playlist, and that to playlist comes from a little bit of my own stuff and a lot of bit of me looking at the feed and seeing what the people I follow rate and add to collections. So they're kind of already like pre-vetted, you know. So I'm like, oh yeah, so if it's coming from that, like 95% chance, like yeah, it's like I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, my friends and I just recommend each other's stuff, and then we go in an endless circle.
Yes. Yeah, no, I feel like I can, you know, I see here, and I see doing this show and talking to people, like the slow trickle of a friend group submitting their games. Being like, oh, you should get in there. You get like $40. It's a cool thing.
Yeah, I love making my friends do stuff.
Yeah.
Also, the game is Swollen to Bursting. That's the game.
Oh, so Swollen to Bursting already included.
Yeah, let me send there's a Steam link and an itch.io link. I'm just lost in the sauce because I have so many tabs open.
Oh no, I was Swollen to Bursting. I reached out to them myself to invite them into Indiepocalypse.
OMG, yeah, they're awesome. Also, he would probably be on the radio show because he likes stuff like this. He's
Okay.
chill.
I will. Yeah. Actually, which was that? 52 was 10 issues before you, swollen to bursting until I am disappearing on purpose. Was in Indiepocalypse.
I forgot.
No, that's fine. You say you don't remember all 600 games that were in Indiepocalypse?
I should. I'm a fake fan.
Oh no! All these fake. I want to. I say this is a relaxed show, but this is really gotcha journalism where I expose fake gamers.
Funny, I'm on the itch.io page right now, and I see the submission to Indiepocalypse 52 paying anthology, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah, that's my secret sauce of Indiepocalypse. When I started putting that in the parentheses, the paying anthology, be like, you get a little cash there. Like my hope is I remember, people, the classic thing about art is it's all just the same people trading the same. We're all just trading the same $5 back and forth forever. And I'm just like, the goal of Indiepocalypse is like, what if we were trading $20 back and forth forever?
I mean, it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, it's like a little bit more. So if you take a dollar off of that, you can get something. It's like a nice, it's like a nice meal. It's like a nice something. And I mean, you're both relatively new, so you don't have the same experience of the being the fresh, not yet baby issue of the 6 to 8 month Indiepocalypse, $7 through PayPal or whatever. But it's coming your way soon. I'm going, huh?
I love getting $7.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic because then I can pay for sushi from Kroger.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll get you perfect supermarket, any kind of and a nice little supermarket meal.
And a $5 biggie bag from Wendy's.
Yeah.
I'm normal. I'm not always calculating prices of cheap food.
Well, have I signed up for a lot of different services and put my birthday in so I get free meals? Maybe. Do I recommend to people to do that and then space your birthday out so you can get a bunch of different meals throughout the year? Some of them are much better than others. Some will just like fucking J-Mics will give you a free sub. It's crazy. Like whole ass sub. Just because you were born.
I used to just make a bunch of DoorDash accounts, but then they caught on to me. Now they know my IP address and won't let me.
Right. Won't let you make any more like discount codes or whatever, or free deliveries. Yeah, what a... Anyhow, cheap food is cool. I recommend it.
I agree.
As a thing we need to survive, why should we have to pay for these things we need to survive? Seems like a scam, honestly.
Yeah,
Food is
what
so
is this
cheap
society?
in like Japan. It makes me want to cry when I
Yeah.
I would like go to like a convenience store with like $5 and I would come back with like a bag of things to eat and I would be like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, my friend was saying the same thing. It's also like the luxury of like the American dollar goes further in other countries.
Yeah. And even then they're paid better than
Yeah.
Americans, like in their culture.
Yeah, once again, that's that weirdness of America, of like, and how like, in some ways, like the internet like flattens like regional price differences,
Mm.
Where it's
Yeah.
like,
I live somewhere where like the minimum wage is like $7.25.
oh yeah, so here's a nice illustration of America. I live somewhere where the minimum wage is $15.
Oh yeah, you're in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Man, I should move up north, but I don't want.
It's only
I mean,
it's just cold and expensive up here.
that's my thing. I don't want to be cold.
Yeah.
And I like air conditioning.
Yeah. Oh no, we need that too in the summer. You need them both.
Yeah, my friend all my friends who live up north don't have air conditioning, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys are alive.
Oh yeah, I retreat to a basement where it's temperate all year round generally.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's really hot outside.
Oh yes, no, over there you don't really have like a wide country to escape to. You know, you kind of got the one thing there.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna go drive to a different part of the same country as an entirely different climate.
If I could, I would just teleport right away to the, I don't know,
Right.
iceberg or Northern Pole.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get my like this. I have like people who come up for the summer. You know, we have like a bunch of summer houses up here, and like
Really?
yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah, like
My family likes to go further down south in the summer, and I'm like, you guys, I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to melt in Florida.
yes,
I'm
yeah,
going to
no,
pass out on
Yeah,
the
I heard that
ground.
it's really hot there.
yeah. I'm pretty sure all the Florida people come up here to New England during the summer because like they're like, oh, beautiful Cape Cod, and it's nicer out, and it's freaking.
Evacuation place, I think.
But yes, not to get too extend Indiepocalypse another hour in terms of and start talking about hyper regionalisms. But I'm going to begin now that we've fully crossed over 2 hours. We're going to fully begin to wrap up the show. Also because it's later in the day, and I do want to get this thing. It takes forever, like to recompile after I cut out the audio, to remake the video into like a audio list. I've got to find like maybe a better audio cutting thing. I don't know what program I should use. I should probably be using a different one. Who knows though?
If you need help, I probably have some, or my friends do. So I can probably recommend some later.
Yeah,
Not tonight though.
yes.
My brain is melting.
No, but if you think of, I use like OpenShot was one I found, and then I tried like the built-in Windows one, but both of them seem like they took forever to. I mean, that just could
I
be.
use Shotcut, which
Okay.
is lighter weight open shot.
Okay.
Sorry for cutting you off.
No, that's a very good thing to cut me off with, actually, because I'm like, yeah, definitely lighter weight version of OpenShot would be ideal.
Additional shout out to DaVinci Resolve and the Audacity.
Okay. Yes, I will. I'm definitely going. I'm typing things into my computer currently, so that I remember them for later.
Let me just grab some screenshots for you.
Perfect. That
There you go.
saves me even more trouble. Okay. Yeah, Audacity. Audacity is definitely works for my audio thing. It's just the video of it that kills me.
It's very
Shotcut. Yes, all these very handy screenshots being delivered to me at the end of the show. But the previously exited Siobhan, Zik, Mala, thank you all for joining me here today. Oh no, I'm doing my final wrap up. Mala, we mentioned your work. People are looking to find it. Where can they find it?
On ophanumk.com.
Perfect.
You can spell that, surely.
Yes. OPHANIMKEI.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff there. It's just like a whole ass your own website.
Also, I have zine too, but it's different from this one. It's really different. So,
like a zine in the classic sense, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we release like one a year. It kills me. I'm dead. I'm corpse walking. But yeah, that's it. Opa zines.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean you can. I was trying to.
Yeah, it's our current project. It's we're working on an RPG Maker zine, and it's actually killing me slowly, but it's very fun. You know?
Right.
Yeah, the previous zines are there. So. Oh wait, no, fuck! I forgot the domain is. I paid for the domain, but it was like no, so I have to do it again in a few days.
You have a card now.
Ooh,
No.
nail tickets.
I'll
Nice.
pay for it and like after I get my refund.
Yeah, that's like websites. I have one of them, and I just have a bunch. Then I pay for multiple URLs, but not multiple websites. Um, but yeah, there is a lot of stuff there, and I'm glad. Like, also the thing that makes me realize, you know, people are getting back into websites, and I love to see people get back into websites.
Yeah.
They are the only thing that will survive the social media decay
Right.
of the 2020s.
Right. It's just, if you just have a good website, that is your name. You're covered. You know.
Yeah.
Like for the like that Providence group, I'm a part of, like Providence group that just game dev group that's just started off, and they just had all they had was a Discord, and I was like, so I spent like 3 minutes. I made a NeoCities page because it's like you gotta have a website. I as the world's #1 Discord hater, despite using this platform currently for this show. I am just like, I don't like to use it. I don't like things living in this app that
That's pretty fair.
we're talking about two different Kales. I did not realize we were talking about two different Kales.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, I know both of them though, so it's okay.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know kale chips that well, but
Right,
I know.
right.
I've spoken to them.
Yes, because it happened previously on the last show where, and it's a good thing I took a break between that one and the last one, because in the last one, a friend of the show, Ash K, was at the Toronto Game Expo and literally like bought a little phone that plugged into a handheld cord phone that plugged into their cell phone and was calling me from the convention floor. And it was an addicting feeling. But they said, "Oh, Len's talking," and they mentioned Len, and it was the same thing where there were two Lens existed in my brain, and I was like, "Wait, which one was it?" And I guessed the wrong one. Turns out, there's 600 people in your brain, and sometimes you know them by different names.
Yeah, there's another person named Mala.
Yeah.
So who's in like my circle, but not in the RPG Maker circle. But she makes visual novels. So
yeah. Right.
I am aware of her because of confusion.
Right. Because there's like, that's why you need a strong personal brand. So you.
Whenever I think about personal brands, I think of like that guy. I don't remember he was on like, I don't know. I just know there's a song that goes brands. It's literally about your personal brand.
That I know a clue you're talking about. That could be a lot of things. I am not sure what particular
It's
one.
the guy who was on some news network who was known for having a specific brand of humor. But the problem is, every guy on YouTube is that.
Right. When every guy is that guy, how can you identify that guy?
I just know that the joke of the video is that the singer is named Howard Brandity.
Okay.
So
I'm still unfamiliar, but you know what? Hey, I don't gotta know everything.
Yeah, I can't find it. It's okay. It's because I deleted
Yeah.
everything on my YouTube accounts. So.
The blessing of like turning off history on YouTube. It's just like
I deleted my history and all of my likes ever.
It just nuking.
Which is something I just discovered you could do.
Yes.
So.
It like
really?
freeze your YouTube. It makes it more usable. But speaking
it's by Brian David Gilbert. I give up. Okay. I can't find it. I'm going to bed.
Okay.
That's bad.
But I do know that guy at least, so. But speaking of people, of finding people's work and brands, it's like, where can people find your work? I was looking to find it.
Where my video game work can be found at my itch.io page, which is ZIKBAKGULU.
Yes, perfect spelling it.
itch.io.
Yes.
Oh man, I failed my spelling bee test.
You did, like, you've learned the importance. Like, hey, let's just spell these things. Easier to spell them.
Yeah.
As someone who makes a thing that is constantly misspelled, a thing that I constantly misspell, like I have to constantly, speaking of things I have to constantly catch and misspell, Indiepocalypse. You go to indiepocalypse.com, not Indieapocalypse, not Indie.
Oh yeah, that happened to me.
Yes, no, that not Indiepocalypse with an E in there. You go to indiepocalypse.com, you can purchase Indiepocalypse, and for instance, like, or if you go to pizzapranks.itch.io, you can purchase issues, say, 62 and 57, and eventually the people on this very call will get that vaunted $5 to $7 PayPal message that says Indiepocalypse, in all lowercase, and they'll be like, oh, look at that, I can buy a piece of sushi, I can buy a little thing from a convenience store, or I can save it up for and get $15 in another 6 months or so. But
I got myself a nice cup of coffee thanks to this.
Exactly, right. I give people the coffee they need to wake up early to do the show.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it'll be sooner rather than later, partially because I have both PAX and Amaze coming up in May, which are, bigger shows. So I'm hoping that a lot of people buy a lot of things so that I can then trickle down that money. The only trickle down that works, has ever worked, because I do not have giant yachts. It's not where I'm like, oh, I'm going to become a millionaire first, then think about maybe passing some of that money downward. It's just like, nah, this is deeply unprofitable, and that's fine. Right, those, and of course, indiepocalypse.com/Patreon/tape/ if you want, like, /Patreon, for instance, for only $5 a month, you get the newly commissioned games. So if you're just like, hey, I don't want to spend a lot of money every month, I want to spend like $60 a month, you could get games like Youngson Flesh Dynamics and Who is Johnny Six Gun, two, like, stellarly canonical indie games of the near future for only $5. Look at that, what a bargain.
Yeah, you can taste the future.
Right. And then also the little secret of, if you don't want to pay for Indiepocalypse, hey, on all these pages, I link to these developers' own pages where a lot of their games are there for free, and you can still play them. You're like, hey, like, the underlying ethos is like, hey, it's nice for people to pay for things, but I'd rather people play these games. So if that's ever a barrier for you to like, I don't know, I don't want to buy this, but this game sounds really cool. Hey, just go and like click that thing on their, click that thing on their thing. That says, you go, huh? Andrew really nailed the pronunciation of that omatophilia, and that game sounds cool, but I don't want to pay for Indiepocalypse. You just click on that little link that says model, and look at that. You can play that damn game in browser. You don't even need to download anything. Play that stuff on your phone, maybe, probably. I don't know how well that kind of stuff plays on. I don't know how well RPG Maker stuff plays on phone. I assume fine, maybe.
I have played it on my phone, though it says you shouldn't, but it works. So
yeah, it works. Hey,
yeah.
R.E.P. David Lynch's not around to tell you can't put your stuff on your phone anymore. So no one's stopping you now.
Mm-hmm.
I've started watching a lot of short films on my phone during break.
Nice.
That's it. There's probably more links. Indiepocalypse.com/submit, of course, is the other important one. If you are making a game, you want to submit it to Indiepocalypse to be in the future. That's all it is. It's just it's a jam page. You click and you make your thing, and then you don't have to do any other work. That's it. Yes, uninstall again and play RPG Maker games on your phone. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to... Well, I'll add a gotcha element to Indiepocalypse. Where you, in order to play any of the games, instead of like making an issue every month, I'm just gonna release like, here's my new banner with 10 new games on it, and then just go into the same pool as all the other games. So you're like, oh man, I really want to play a Metafield, and then you pull, and then you just like pull a game from like issue 3 of Indiepocalypse. You're like, I already have this one. Well, I guess I'm gonna roll again, try to get the game I want. Anyhow, like, well, this is my. I was doing this wrap up voice earlier, but this is my actual wrap up voice. This time I'm actually properly wrapping up. So for the previously exit Siobhan, Marlon, and Zick, thank you both for joining me here today. All three of you for joining me here today, I should say. Great pleasure to do this show. Hey, you know what? I was good at this for a while. Then I forgot, but I got reminded. Thank you all for listening as well. I always like the unofficial tagline of Indiepocalypse Radio is conversations are really fun to have. I don't know how fun they are to listen to, but they're very fun to have. So
I agree.
I'm glad that people listen to my excuse to, say, for instance, collect people from the United States, South Korea, and Australia, put them in one room and talk to them all together. Where it would generally be prohibitively expensive for us all to meet in one spot. So, hey, goodbye, everyone. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye bye.